We all have stories like this. Stories about a time when the system was rigged against us. When we were counted out, left out, pushed out. Just think of...
So, I took 3 hours and I just cut open my ColourPop palettes trying to get the shades open because I was told by some trusted sources at Twintorials on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube that I could use my normal ColourPop palettes as Z palettes. Inspired by a Reddit post I saw where they're just like, you just need a really powerful magnet. I'm like, cool, I've got 2 very powerful magnets, let's try it. It doesn't work. My Aries self decides, well, you know what? X-Acto knife time. Okay, so it does, these are magnetic. I'm not crazy. And I know this because I have the plastic shell ones, and obviously they're magnetic, and I have my Z palette one, and those are magnetic, so I'm like, there's nothing really stopping these from being magnetic. I know there's a magnet underneath there because I saw the Reddit post, and it just was frustrating. So instead of asking more questions of Rachel or Victoria, I just start cutting. And I feel like I'm losing my mind because the Reddit post made no sense. No one, all the YouTube videos I'd seen at that point hadn't really explained really clearly what they meant by just use a powerful magnet. So I start cutting. Okay, yeah, there is sponge under there. Great. Fun. So here's where the massacres truly begins. If you saw either last week's video, the previous video to this, you'll see that I really like the design of this palette and I really wanted to keep it. But it wasn't my favorite palette, so I was willing to cut it up a bit. So I take the X-Acto knife and I go around the edges, trying to, you know, make it the same shape as my Z palette from ColourPop, and it doesn't work. And this is where I'm fully aware of my foolhardiness, that if I had just taken a moment at this point, I would have realized just use a powerful magnet, but we were already here. So I finally get the first shadow up with the big powerful magnet, and from this point on, it's just me diving headfirst into my own stupidity. I do owe myself an apology because as hard as I end up being on myself later on, I do realize how difficult my Flutter set from the Christmas collection 2019 was to get out, and I had to use a tool to pop those open. Those happened off camera. But goodness gracious, I massacred this palette. Here I go, seeing that these pans are all the same size from the plastic shells and the cardboard shells. And coming soon, I hope to do like a grab bag randomizer set with all my different ColourPop eyeshadows because they're all labeled now, so I can just dunk and pull. But I switched them around and was really excited about this for like 15 minutes. Here's where the ADHD really kicks in. I hyperfixate on this. This is now the only thing I have to do this day. I had many other things I could have been doing, but I decide to write out all the names for my ColourPop shades, cut them out individually and glue them onto the backs of each of these shades. And yeah. There's a lighting change because I stopped to eat, but it legitimately took me hours. I think I started at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I didn't start, just the writing the names took me about 2 or 3 hours, and then cutting from 8 p.m. to like midnight. But I got it because consider to be damned, I can do anything on any kind of methamphetamine. Enjoy the vibes.
Dance, make them dance, boy.
This is gonna be fun to edit later.
Dance, make them dance, boy.
So here's attempt 2 at a different type of butchering. I was determined to make it more like a Z palette. So I measure out the sides before I start cutting so that I can cut at a certain angle. I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad about how this turned out because I kind of like all my sets of something to look the same, but it's whatever. I never used this set anyway. But more importantly, this is when I finally figured out that I could just use the big magnet, and it actually popped out. I don't know why I continue to cut this up later, but I do. But this is really where my true advice is to just take a really powerful magnet. My first magnet at the beginning didn't really work as well as that magnet, and I just didn't look back. There I go, hacking into it, and end up searing the magnet at the bottom. But, So now I have 2 gutted palettes, and the butterfly one still essentially does its same job, but I'm really excited to use the Wild Nothing palette for traveling and making my own C palettes and holding single shade shadows from my other actual Z palettes. I thought at the end I'd just for fun show off how I figured out how to pop open those, because there aren't actual instructions about how to do it. I just kind of wiggle things around. Just wanted to say, if you liked today's video, follow me and subscribe to Megan Blush on all socials. Bye!
Dance, make